MySQL is an Oracle-backed open-source relational database management system based on structured query language. This definition captures the essence and the characteristics of MySQL. To understand it, let's analyze the content of its elements. Relational database management system is a set of software that allows you to work with databases, create, delete, and edit them. DBMS helps to bring in new information. Since the structure has already been created, the desired input field can be found using the built-in DBMS tools. DBMS quickly updates information during multi-user access. If several people work on the database, the changes will be displayed to everyone online. DBMS reduces the risk of error. The structure of the table is already set when creating the database, so the information will go to the right section. Relational DBMS is one of the main. The main feature of relational databases is that they consist of interconnected tables. Each table contains a description of objects and consists of rows and columns. The number of tables in a database is not limited. Tables are linked to each other using a unique identifier, foreign key. Consider the MySQL relational model in which all data is divided into separate tables using the WordPress site database as an example. This slide shows a window of special software for interacting with the database Phpmyadmin. This utility allows you to work with the database without entering SQL queries. By default, WordPress uses 12 separate tables, but many WordPress plugins will also add their own tables. WordPress stores blog posts in the posts table and users in the users table. However, because those two tables are connected by a key, you are able to link each user account with all of the blog posts that each user has written. Each post is assigned a post author, which is a unique identifying number. This is the key. Then, if you want to see which user account corresponds to that number, you could look at the ID and the users table. The key, the ID number, is what connects everything together, and that's how they're related to each other despite storing the data in separate tables. The core of MySQL is MySQL Server, which handles all of the database instructions or commands. MySQL Server is available as a separate program for using a client-server networked environment and as a library that can be embedded or linked into separate applications. MySQL operates along with several utility programs which support the administration of MySQL databases. Commands are sent to MySQL Server via the MySQL client, which is installed on a computer. MySQL supports a wide variety of table types. Users can choose between MySQL tables that support full text search and InnoDB tables that support single record transactions. MySQL supports large databases with millions of records. MySQL users do not need to learn new commands. They can access their data using standard SQL commands. MySQL is written in C and C++ and accessible and available across over 20 platforms, including Mac, Windows, Linux, and Unix. MySQL supports many types of data. For security, MySQL uses an access privilege and a encrypted password system that enables host-based verification. MySQL clients can connect to MySQL Server using several protocols, including TCP/IP sockets on any platform. MySQL also supports a number of client and utility programs, command line programs, and administration tools such as MySQL workbench. However, MySQL is not without its drawbacks, including limited functionality. All SQL features are not implemented. There may be problems with the reliability of data storage and transmission due to open source code. MySQL is not the only RDBMS on the market, but it is one of the most popular and, according to DB engines, is second only to Oracle databases. Installing the MySQL server also installs the command line client for managing data on the server, the more advanced MySQL shell console client, and the MySQL workbench graphical client for ease of use. Upon launch, the graphical client presents the following interface. In this window, the field with the name of the locally running MySQL instance is highlighted, after clicking on which the contents of the server are opened. Creating a new database is possible by entering the following SQL script and the field on the central part of the window, Create Database Users. After running this command, information about the successful execution of the script appears at the bottom of the screen. To use the created database and create a user's data table and in it with some data, username and age, you should run the following commands. After that, you can get all the data from the user's data table with the following commands. Use users, select all from users info. Similarly, you can send all other SQL commands to the server using MySQL with Node.js. First, you need to install the MySQL 2 package. To create a connection, the create connection method is used, which takes connection settings as a parameter and returns an object representing the connection. To establish a connection, we can use the connect method of the connection object. The connect method accepts a function whose parameter contains an error that occurred during the connection. The end or destroy methods are used to close the connection. Destroy immediately closes one connection without waiting for the remaining queries to complete. This command retrieves data from the user's info table stored in the user's database. The data returned from a MySQL database can be parsed by simply iterating over the rows object in a loop. This query adds new information to the database. This data update query and a query to delete data. So, in this brief overview of MySQL, I have focused on the most important aspects of its use, which give a general idea of its capabilities and specifics. Thank you for watching this presentation.